What's going on YouTube? Helen the Russian here. So in this video I'd like to talk about handling Uber pool and Lyft line. Opinion obviously is my own. It's not necessarily something that I think everybody should do, but it's just the way I believe is working best for me. So generally we all know what pull and line is, and as was mentioned before by many drivers don't like it. However, it's not going anywhere. The companies are gonna keep it, they're not gonna get rid of it because obviously it's making them good money, and a lot of passengers like it because it's a lot cheaper fare for them, depending on the market, mind, but it is cheaper. So my opinion, Lyft, I have to say Lyft has a very good tutorial about line. And the first thing to do once you accepted the ride and you arrived and the passenger or passengers are there, it seems redundant, but you'll be surprised, very important straight away to go, you have chosen Lyft line or Uber pool, do you know what it is? Because surprisingly enough, on more than one occasion, people didn't know. They just clicked on it not knowing what it was. And on at least two occasions, once I explained it to them, they didn't want to go through with it because they wanted to get where they wanted to go fairly quick, and that was not suited. And usually that's people who just downloaded the app and they don't understand what things are. So they're just clicking on whatever, like in Lyft it says up to 2 passengers. And so they go, well, I'm by myself. Yeah, that sounds about right. And yeah, that's so you need straight away, I believe you need to ask that and clarify what that is. Now, in my opinion, it's always good. Different people are different. This suits my personality. It's important to be direct and somewhat firm. Not rude. We all here for the customer service, but I am a big believer in that because it does prevent bigger problems down the road. Example, real life example. When I first signed up for rideshare, it was Lyft. I think the third day I was driving, and I wasn't driving that much, so that would be not even 10 rides I've given. This guy requests Lyft line. I pull up to where he was. It was a Friday night, busy Friday night in Las Vegas. He comes up he opens the front door. He goes, can I sit up front? And I said, yes, of course. And the first thing I go, you chosen Lyft line. Do you understand what it is? He goes, yes, I do, but I need to be at dinner by 7. And at that stage, it was just after 6:30. And I need to know that I'll be there by 7. And straight away, see, that's what I mean about direct and firm. I said, I'm sorry, I can't promise you that. And he kind of stood back at that. I do believe he knew he wasn't meant to ask for things like that. But he goes, well, all the other drivers always told me that they would be able to get me wherever in a certain amount of time. Obviously not this time. And he was challenging me. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't, because at this stage, I haven't even tapped on pick him up. So, because he was just standing outside of my car with the door open, meaning I did not know his destination. I had no idea what other riders might be added and where they would be. And as you know, the ones who drive already, you know that the second rider might be dropping off first according to the app. We need to know what the app says on the pool and line. And so on a busy Friday night in Las Vegas, I couldn't guarantee him 25-minute arrival. I didn't know how it was gonna end. You know, we all know, those who live in Vegas, it's busy town. Things happen here all the time. Things we cannot predict. For instance, I mean, apart from the tragedy that happened 1 October, but there are smaller things that happened that very similar. Like all of a sudden there is a shooting. There was a shooting just a few months ago in front of the Hilton Vacation Suites, in front of that Marriott, in the Valet area. There was that scare at the Drace Club when that black NFL player was trying to sue Las Vegas police for handcuffing him briefly. Well, there was, I don't know if it was actually gun discharge. No one was killed, but what had happened, there was people thought there was a gunshot. Everybody started running. Police arrived, meaning they blocked off the strip right by the Flamingo. So all the traffic came to a complete halt right then and there. That's what I mean. Things could happen just in a split second, and that's it. You're stuck. You can't take anyone anywhere. And if you agreed to deliver this person to his destination, you promise he's going to be there by 7, now you have this guy in your car sitting next to you that's really aggravated and getting really stressed. You see what I mean about bigger problems down the road? See, I don't want that problem. No, I'd rather not have a ride and lose that ride altogether. And in his case, I do believe he gave me 1 star and flagged me for friendliness, because that week my rating dropped and I was flagged for friendliness, and that's the only ride I can think of. Everybody else was all fun and games and everybody was having a good time, so that was him. But that's okay. I did not get deactivated for that. I wasn't even contacted by Lyft to ask what had happened. So, and if they did, I would tell them exactly what went on, and I would explain that the passenger was making unreasonable demands, which I could not at all promise to fulfill. So that's where I'm coming from, with being direct and firm right from the beginning, so everybody knows what's going on. This way, when you're doing a ride share, it is your car, you are a driver, but you are driving with strange people in your car. You need to maintain control in all times. That is my belief. Otherwise, things could go out of hand really quickly. And there were situations unrelated to the line and pull a couple of times where I knew I had to take control, and I asserted my control, and people didn't particularly like it, but they didn't make an issue, because ultimately they realized really quick who is in charge and where they at, right? So it is important. Otherwise, you're gonna have people preventing you. I've seen a lot of videos from other drivers, and sometimes videos from a dash cam, when it's very clear the passengers are distracted. Now the driver was distracted, you're driving in a heavy traffic, you could get in an accident, you can get injured, your car will get messed up. You don't need any of that. You need to be in charge of the situation. So that's how to start the ride, and then as you proceed with the ride, you just comment slightly on what goes on. I have to say, with Uber Pool, I like it a bit better the way app is set up, not necessarily the ride itself, but the way with Uber Pool, every time the passenger is added, there is a blip on your screen. There is a sound, and there is a frame comes up on your phone that says new passenger added, and it reroutes you to that passenger. And then on the passenger's app, they get the same message, and they see the name of the added rider. They know exactly what's going on. With Lyft, it just the navigation system just reroutes you randomly. So you're driving to wherever you're driving, and suddenly it says rerouting. And so I learned from experience that what it means. It means the other passenger been added, but it doesn't give you actually that notification saying that specifically. It doesn't spell it out. And I don't think on the passenger app it says anything at all. They just in the dark completely. So I keep a running commentary. I go, oh wow, we've been rerouted. It means we have someone else we need to pick up. So we now go, and I look at it and I go, okay, it looks like we're going to whatever, Caesar's Palace and whatnot. Anyhow, back to that story I was telling about the guy. He did end up, he canceled the ride, which was just fine with me. And few seconds later, I realized that I did exactly the right thing, because as I start pulling away, it started routing me to Planet Hollywood, which is the second ride there was. Well, we all know, those of us who live in Vegas, Friday, Saturday night, Planet Hollywood is a mission to get in and out of there. It really is. It's just very unfortunate the way the lights and everything in there work. So straight away I thought, oh, I'm so glad I did what I didn't promise him exact delivery time, because it wasn't gonna happen. And it so happened, I guess those people realize it's no longer a line, and they cancel that ride as well, which was just fine, because not even 2 minutes later I got a regular Lyft, not a line, and things were just fine. So that's my 5 cents about that. And once again, I'm gonna repeat that because I do believe it's important. Complete control, maintain the control of the situations at all times, because things could get ugly or even unpleasant or distracting very quickly. I'm gonna tell that other story, what had happened with me taking control of the situation. These people got in my car at Mandalay Bay and they were going downtown, and I mentioned that story before. They thought they know the way and they insisted I get on the freeway when I knew the freeway was busy, but they insisted, and so I did. And they were okay, but they clearly had few drinks already, and the party for them was just starting, and there were four of them, so three in the back and one up front. And they asked me, I play radio stations in my car, the very, very mainstream Las Vegas ones. So 94.1 and Sunny 106. That's the choices. And because this way no one gets offended or complains about music, they can. Those are mainstream radio stations. So I was playing Sunny, and they were doing the whole 80s run up. And so these people liked a song, and they asked me to turn up the volume, which is fine. And then as we were getting stuck on the freeway, one of the guys, he goes, "Oh, crank it up really high." And the volume was already quite high. And I said, "No, we're not going to." He goes, "Go to the max." I said, "No, that's not going to happen, because that would drown any and all sound." And they were starting to jump, and I didn't want to do that. And so I actually lowered the volume even lower. And he tried. He goes, "Are you seriously not gonna bring it up?" I go, "Yes, I am dead serious, because literally your life is in my hands right now, and I need to focus on driving. The traffic is," and they could see the traffic was extremely heavy, and I needed to get out of that traffic. And he started saying something about, "Oh, I don't care about my life." I go, "Well, you may not, but I do, and I care about mine. So this is how it's gonna be." And from that point on, they got quiet. They talked among themselves and whatnot, but they let it go. Like I said, assert your control. All right, everybody, have a nice evening and be safe out there.